The Mandalorian and Grogu just set back Star Wars another decade, finding a way to have a worse opening day than Solo: A Star Wars Story, which for many of us thought was "That's impossible!" And with Disney betting the entire franchise on this streaming show hopefully turned blockbuster, is it all going to pay off or become their biggest bust? The Mandalorian and Grogu does great at doing exactly what the Disney Plus series does in an hour, which is having a fully fledged out story and completing said story in about 45 minutes. Despite having great combat and action sequences and giving you multiple big CGI fights, including a satisfying ending, all within that first hour, where it struggles deeply as having any significance after that main story point has concluded. It basically ends and it no longer has anything meaningful to contribute to the overall plot of the movie, and doesn't contain anything meaningful to progress the overall Star Wars franchise, or hint at any future installments. And you may be wondering, how can that be? This is supposed to jumpstart Star Wars' big theater comeback and be the start of film dominance once again. And not having anything in the theater for over half a decade, despite there being countless announcements for future projects, there must be something. Well, dear viewer, let me explain. The Mandalorian and Grogu starts off exactly how an episode of the TV show would start. Mando is mid-bounty hunt working for the New Republic. He completes said bounty and he returns to Sigourney Weaver to collect his payment. He is then offered another mission, which he is hesitant to take, saying that this was his last and that he's going to take a break for a while. But eventually he's wheeled and dealed into doing one more job. And that's exactly what you get with this film, while also trying to weave its way with different filler aspects so the film can be drawn out longer to try and make it seem there is more that has to be done, including adding another plot with Rada the Hutt, which is a character that has already been saved once before in an episode of Clone Wars, and who is now being hunted down by his aunt and uncle because they don't want him to become the next king and follow in his father's footsteps, which he has no interest in doing at all. So the Mandalorian is tasked by the New Republic with finding Rada, locating and returning him to his aunt and uncle. Unbeknownst to him, though, he is being sent out to recapture Rada and return him back to his planet so his aunt and uncle can rid of their nuisance nephew, while also being given a secondary task, which is having to locate another bounty who is a mysterious warlord. This unknown bounty that they don't have any known information on other than his name, Janu Coin, must be located and returned, dead or alive, to the New Republic.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
And that's exactly what Mando does. He completes said bounty and returns to collect his payment, and the film manages to do that all within the first hour or so. And after that, the movie becomes filled with endless filler. Long montages, another tiring CGI battle, and no progressive storytelling, while also managing to not add any meaningful character development, or set up anything for the future of the franchise. And not a single time ever making you think, hey, I want to go see this again. All while making its marketing masterpiece Grogu be the smartest and dumbest character of all time, going from not knowing what buttons to press on the ship when he's given clear instructions, to not understanding how to escape a birdcage when he has the Force abilities, to all of a sudden using the Force to fully move objects with ease, crush RCXDs with no struggle, build shelter and heal the Mandalorian, while also camouflaging himself and the Mando from enemy droids and skilled bounty hunters. It's a classic case of plot-induced stupidity, which is a TV trope for when a character is suddenly written as much dumber, more clueless, or less competent than they normally are, or should logically be, purely to make the plot work, create tension, or generate a specific scene, which is exactly what they've done with Grogu and continue to do.
You serious?
He's dumb and incompetent when they need him to be, eating cookies and looking cute, not knowing what buttons to press. But then, he's the strongest character all of a sudden when the story calls for it, making the writing come off as weak or lazy. The film does this countless times, and it doesn't contribute anything meaningful to the story. Like having around a 15-minute sequence of him walking around through the woods, sitting on branches, going through the dark lonely and sad, just for him to sleep next to his friend at the end of the night. They also take stormtrooper aim and plot armor to the next level, something that Star Wars has always been memed for in the past. I think Mandalorian is hit with one actual laser blast the entire film, and I know that's not a big issue, but I just thought that it was an interesting point to touch on because it's so funny. A classic Star Wars trope. A stormtrooper couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, and in The Mandalorian and Grogu, that rings true. Mando is dodging cannon blasts underneath an AT-AT, never in an ounce of danger, and can get into said AT-AT, completely take it over, never being harmed, has one chance to hit his shot on the cannons, and does exactly that.
Right.
or be chased by dozens of droids and not be touched, just to take them all out single-handedly. It's an episode of The Mandalorian with an hour of filler content added to make it seem like a full-length film. And that isn't what anyone asked for, and Disney is trying everything in its power to save this franchise, taking liked characters and using them to push advertising, while also trying to take what worked in streaming and apply it to the big screen. This was the first theatrical Star Wars release in 7 years. It's supposed to rejuvenate Star Wars' theatrical presence, and it fails to do that in every way. It doesn't develop anything new with the characters, or set up anything for the future. It continues the same problems with Disney Star Wars, by not adding anything interesting, telling no new stories, or introducing any new characters. Therefore, showing us more of the same and nothing we haven't seen before. It doesn't create any long-lasting hype, eagerness, or urgency for more. It played it safe, brought back what worked and didn't try anything new, and it abused nostalgia once again, to try and form a story it knows won't work, while milking attempted cuteness to sell as many popcorn buckets and Grogu toys as possible, landed flat. And it's brainless flashing lights and quick cuts to try and make you think it's groundbreaking, by distracting you with good choreography and decent visuals to make up for its lackluster story. And if it doesn't do well, they'll say, well, we weren't expecting it to be a crazy success, that's why we gave it such a small budget.
Stop the cap.
Which just isn't true, because they probably spent at least $80 million on marketing, from Super Bowl ads to full-fledged fast food collabs, and even hiring influencers to give unauthentic fan reactions. I don't believe we'll be seeing anything Star Wars in the theater, in this galaxy, or in one far, far away, for a long time. But what do you think of The Mandalorian and Grogu? Did you like it? Did it deliver on what you wanted? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.